In this lesson, we're going to look at the functional group ethers. So ethers are functional groups where we have an oxygen that is single bonded to two different carbon atoms. So this may be a long chain going off of there or a shorter chain, but either way, two different sets of carbon atoms. So when we name or draw these, we're going to find the longest chain of carbons that is attached to the carbon. The oxygen. So we have two sets of carbons attached to the oxygen. The longer one is going to be the main or the root chain. So remember, that's the name that comes at the very end. We are then going to have the suffix. So that is going to be based on whatever the main chain is. So here we don't have a different ending like we did with double or triple bonds or with any of our other functional groups. So if that main chain has any of those functional groups, then we will use that as the ending. If it's all single bonded carbons, then it's an alkane. And so, for example, if it's 4 carbons long, then it would be a butane. And then this is where the naming will come in for the ether. So the very first part of the name is going to be that second group of carbons that is attached to the oxygen. So that's called an alkoxy because we have the carbon that the oxygen is attached to. So alkoxy means the carbon chain with the oxygen. So that's going to be the first part of the name, that other group attached to the oxygen, and then any other groups that are attached to the main chain would then go between those two. So for example here, so I've got the oxygen that is bonded to two separate chains. So I have here one chain over here, and this is going to be my longest chain. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons. And then the other end of the oxygen, there are 3 carbons there. So that is going to be the alkoxy group. That is going to be the very first part of the name. And then we also have a methyl group attached here. So that is a side group. So we're going to number our carbons, and that gives us the lowest numbering for the attachment to the oxygen. So if we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we would have a lower numbering for the methyl group and a higher numbering for the attachment. Here it would still be 3 and 4. So our lowest numbering is based on the functional group. So what's the lowest number of that chain for attaching to the oxygen? So we have a hexane, and 3 is the carbon that we attach to with the alkoxy group. And then we have a methyl group off of the 4th carbon in that main chain. So we've got our hexane, we have a 3 propoxy, so we have the prop 1, 2, 3 oxy, and that's attached to the 3rd carbon of the main chain. And then we have our methyl group that it's attached on the 4th carbon. So we're going to start with the alkoxy, in this case the 3 propoxy for the name, and then we have a 4 methyl as well attached to the hexane.